Dan, I got to ask you a question, but I'm not sure you're going to understand it.
Oh, all right. Well, nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah, I'm not sure you're going to understand what I'm talking about. I don't know how you guys up in Wisconsin live, but down here in the Mahoning Valley of Ohio, we're high society.
Oh,
And oh yeah,
yep.
we enjoy all of the niceties that the world have to offer in the rich and affluent valley that I live in here called the Mahoning Valley.
Yeah, we don't know anything about that up here in
Yeah.
redneck Wisconsin.
Well, I don't know. If I'm talking over your head, just let me know.
All right.
So, here in the Mahoning Valley, we use these devices. They usually set on an end table and they're round and you put your drink on top of them. We call them coasters. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
I have heard of such a thing. Yes,
Oh,
indeed.
okay. Well, you know what a coaster is.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the idea of a coaster popped into my head today. And I think normally it would either be related to the weather or food. But in this case, it was involving food. I stopped to get lunch at my favorite restaurant, Burger King. Okay. Love the Whopper. I think the Whopper is probably the best value out there for food.
Flame
Love it.
broiled. Yep.
Yeah. Can't
Oh,
beat
yeah.
it. So I was looking at their board though, but they got this new special going on, these 2 for $5 mix and match kind of thing. And
Oh,
the Whopper is not on it, but you can choose from like their chicken sandwich, their onion rings, their chicken fries, and their Whopper Jr. So I thought, you know what? Let's mix this up and let's get a chicken sandwich and a Whopper Jr.
oh
Okay.
boy.
So I pay my $5. I go on my way. And when I get home, I look at my Whopper Jr. and what the heck happened to it?
A
I had
Whopper
to,
mini.
yeah, it is. I had to squint to see it. That's how small it was. I almost forgot it was at the bottom of the bag. It was literally the same size as the coasters that we have sitting on our end table. What the heck happened to the Whopper Jr.? The Whopper has stayed the same, but the Whopper Jr. It was. I was embarrassed to have bought it. That's how pathetic this thing was. It was, it was literally the size of our coaster set that we have on our end table.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. They're small. Small, little, tiny. I think those are like now, what do they call the bite-sized burgers?
Ah, well, it annoys me. I think it is a symptom or a result of that term shrinkflation. Have you heard of that?
Yes, yes, indeed. Yep.
Yeah. This is the result of when accountants get control of a business. What the heck? Where do they even buy buns this small? And, you know, it seems to me like when you're buying stuff in bulk, like I would imagine Burger King sells a lot of food, that if you have to if your buns are smaller, therefore they got less stuff in them, so that should be cheaper, but that's not always the case. Maybe the smaller stuff costs more than the normal size stuff. And so they've got these little rinky dink buns. The burger's a little rinky dink burger. And someone is sitting in an office somewhere, wherever headquarters is, thinking, wow, this is great. Look how look how much money we've saved the company here by
Yeah.
shrinking the Whopper Jr. down to sub junior.
Think of all the zero point 0.5 ounces of ketchup that they don't have to put on. How much that adds up. With
Ugh.
everything. I mean, that's the way to do
Yeah.
it.
You were you the one that told me you had read about an airline that concluded that if they removed one olive from their salads, they could save the company like $1 million a year, something like that. Was that
No,
you?
you brought that up before though. Yeah, I don't know where you heard that. It wasn't from me, but
I
you've
thought it was
mentioned
from
that
you.
before. No.
Yeah. So this Whopper Jr. Now the chicken sandwich was okay, but the Whopper Jr. was not okay. And this is where the nearsightedness that a lot of organizations have. I'll never buy another one. I'll be darned if you ever catch Dan. If you ever catch me with a Whopper Jr. in my hand, you're allowed to call me names
I wonder if
more
they
so
did
than
that.
normal.
Yeah. I wonder if they did that because the Whopper Jr. became one of their most popular items on their menu.
You
And so
think it is?
that was the target that they saw where they could save the most because it was, selling the most. So if they reduce costs there, then that ends up to more savings.
Yeah. When I think of small burgers like the McDonald's hamburger, cheeseburger, the Burger King, this Whopper Jr. was smaller than that. It was. All it had was like a leaf of lettuce, like a little circle of an onion, and it had like a slice of tomato, but the tomato wasn't even. It was a theoretical. It was a LaCroix tomato.
What?
A, La, a, a, La, a LaCroix, a LaCroix tomato. You don't know what that is.
I, no, I do not.
So there's this beverage called LaCroix. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah, it comes in a pop can or a soda can, depending on where you live in this country. Yeah, it's a cold can of fizzy water, like
Yeah.
carbonated water. But they put this little hint of flavor in it. And it is so subtle that you almost have to think about it when you're drinking it. So, like the can's colored, it'll be like a purple can for grape flavor, green for apple, yellow for lemon. I guess that is why it's yellow. But it's refreshing. It tastes good, but it is so subtle of a flavor that you can barely even taste it. It is almost like listening to your favorite song ever in your whole life on extremely low volume.
On volume level 1. Not even there.
Yeah, the same size as the Whopper Jr. small. That just a hint. Anyhow, that's what the tomato was. And it's like, well, what the heck? It's summertime. The tomatoes that we have on our vines are pretty red. This thing, it wasn't. It was like part white and green and like a pinkish rose color. And it was hard as it was not a tomato. It was a LaCroix tomato. It was it was a thought of a tomato. Yeah, talk about a bad lunch.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
that must have just really ruined your day.
yeah. What is the deal? I had seen there was something on the news about shrinkflation. Like they'll have the box of detergent for washing clothes. It's the same size box as it always has been, but now it has like way less contents inside.
Yes.
They're like dishonest. They're tricking you into thinking that you're getting what you always got before. But then these guys are, they're shaving off their product and they're recouping their losses like that, sticking it to the consumer.
Sticking it to us every which way they can.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm glad that you will never, I hope that you never see that in the firewood business.
Well, I have to say, I may have reduced the number of pieces in my bundles just because I didn't want to change the price. So they're still $5, but there may not be as many pieces in them as they used to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. My quarter cords are now actually a sixth of a cord. I just call them a quarter cord and I keep the price the same. Good heavens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better
Three
not let Burger.
sixteenths of a cord.
Yeah. I hope Burger King never starts selling firewood.
I don't think you got to worry about that.
Yeah. If I were in charge of Burger King, the first thing I would fix, I'd call every store, tell them to throw all those buns out into the garbage and go down to the grocery store and buy some real buns and, stop at the local farm stand, get some real tomatoes. We'll
Yeah,
start there. Yeah.
not cherry tomatoes sliced up.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. This tomato, I should have took a picture of it. If I were the cook, I would have been embarrassed to put that tomato on my sandwich.
I don't think their cooks pay much attention.
Yeah.
It's just
Shit.
slap and go down the
Yeah.
line.
Yeah,
Bun,
probably
burger,
so.
cheese, tomato, boom.
Yeah. He'd probably got yelled at had he not put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but don't you think though that that's kind of lame? And do you really think that there's ever going to be a trend in firewood where we start tricking our customers?
I don't see it. Although it's tough to say because I don't know for sure. There's no like set. People sell by different volumes. People want to stick to this cord measurement.
Yeah.
But again, most of the guys that say they sell by the cord just toss it in loose to a dump trailer. So do you really know how much is there? I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, I would say, if anything, I don't think we'd be subject to that. Although,
Yeah.
like I mentioned with my bundles, my
Yeah.
bags might get a little light, but
Oh
keep the
my.
same price.
I believe, especially if you sell firewood and you've been doing it for a long time, and if you've set your baseline, like for instance, I could hand toss firewood into a trailer, and I know darn well that I got it pretty spot on, and that's simply because the guy that I buy my wood off of, his wood is all in racks, and he has thirds and halves. So I
Yep.
know exactly, and you can measure it and it's all exact correct. So after a while, you do get a sense of when it's good. My point had always been, well, I might know that it's accurate, but the customer doesn't. So I take that extra step to hand load my truck too,
Yeah, I was gonna
just
say
so that there's no question.
there's there's the other side of the coin where I'm not sure how many customers or people out there are familiar with the cord measurement system of firewood.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that
I really believe it's probably 90% of my customers know what a real cord is, maybe even more than that.
they do
Do
know.
not that do not know.
Oh, I was going to say that if they do know them, wow, yeah,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
No, they do not know. They don't even know. I think people use that term just loosely. That's what you buy. It's just called a cord, and to them, it has no firm physical amount to it.
Yeah,
They
there's
just
no.
call it a cord.
It doesn't represent anything. Like if you say a 6-pack or a 12-pack, you know what that. You got 12 cans
Yeah,
in a 12-pack. So yeah, there's no connection. I don't think with a lot of customers. And
yeah,
that's why I think the term truckload became popular, because people can associate what what a truck in the
right.
back of a truck, the size. Oh, a truckload. Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah, but not anymore. I mean, there's just so many different size trucks out there. Now you don't know what it is. That one customer of mine, he was upset because he bought off of Facebook Marketplace a truckload, as I use my air quotes, truckload of firewood. And he said the guy showed up in a Jeep, and it was a Jeep, not a truck Jeep. It was a Jeep. And he said, on top of everything else, the wood looked like he found it in a ditch somewhere. It's all covered in mud and mushrooms. And he said he felt sorry for the guy, and he went ahead and paid him. But he said the wood was just garbage. He had it in his back floor, on the back seat, and in behind the seat where the spare tire on the back of the door. He said it was just awful.
Yeah.
But that to him was a truckload.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
There's probably not really any area where you can in firewood have the shrinkflation. If you're selling, in your case, like quarter cord, half cord, full
Yeah.
cord, there really isn't any way to. I mean, you can make your pieces smaller, but you're gonna need more of them to fill up the volume measurement.
Yeah. I've taken my eye off the ball here, but a while back at the grocery stores that sell bundled firewood, and these firewood bundles look like they come from 10 states over. They're from like some massive packaged firewood company. The trend was it used to be a 0.75 cubic foot bundle, so three
Yep.
quarters of a foot. Is that what that is?
Yes. Yep.
Anytime I start throwing out numbers, you should question them. But they changed it from 0.75 to 0.66. That was something I
Yes.
had picked up on. And I didn't know if that was like for real or if that was just a way for them to avoid getting in trouble with like some states' weights and measures. But I thought that was kind of weird. That was an odd change.
I've seen that as well. And I think in some states you have to display the volume of the bundle. But yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen that 0.66 now.
Uh-huh. Well, mine say 0.75, and from my measurements, it seems legit.
Yes.
And I've said this 100 times before. I don't believe in giving more than what the customer paid for. I believe you give the customer exactly what they paid for. But like bundles and stuff, I don't know. What's an extra stick of firewood worth to you?
I don't
Just
know.
seems like it's an easy way around it.
Yeah.
Just if it's a little bit over, who cares? Now, there's some people out there that's probably just screaming about that, but I'm just saying, I am just live my life. I don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
mean, the other thing with when you get down to then, the pieces of firewood themselves, they're all various sizes. So you stick in an extra piece to kind of mound out your bundle. It's probably not a full size piece anyway.
yeah,
There's always ways to like put in a little more and just use up some of your scraps.
yeah. I have two wrappers. My old wrapper has these shims, so it makes the cradle. Oh gosh, I can't remember now. 9 inches wide and 12 inches tall. And if that physical square would come out to 0.75. But then I remember when I was bragging about this on one of my videos, there were some math whizzes that would point out that that is not correct because the stick of firewood is 16 inches long, not
Yes.
12 inches. So that kind of screws everything up too.
Right.
But, my opinion was, close enough. My favorite Greek philosopher was mediocrities. Close enough.
Yeah, close enough. Yeah, because
Yeah.
a cubic volume measurement, you have three dimensions. You have length, height, and depth. So
Yeah.
on your bundle, you have to measure 16-inch piece of wood, 16 by 9 by 10.
Or 12. Or you're saying it's 10. Oh, because it's
No,
a
you're
16 inch
yeah,
16-inch stick.
right.
Whatever,
So
Dan, you're confusing me here.
if your cradle was 9 by 10 by 16, then you're at 1440 cubic inches, which is
Uh-huh.
a what? Isn't that uh I don't even
Yeah.
know. I can't do the
I
math.
don't know either. Well, the simple thing would be this. So when I take the shims out, the cradle measures 12 inches by 12 inches. So when you wrap 16-inch sticks, you're now over 1 cubic foot,
Yes,
right?
technically you are over a cubic foot. You're right.
Yeah. So if your firewood is 12-inch firewood, that would be 1 cubic foot.
You're right on.
But even then, you can keep splitting hairs because there's a lot of air gaps and stuff, so are they
Right.
really getting, you're buying air. It's like your bag of potato chips. There's a lot of air in there.
Depending on how tight you stack your pieces in your cradle, you will have airspace.
Yeah. Uh-huh. So is that when you sell your mini firewood is conveniently square because of that nifty machine that you have that makes it. So when you pack it into a box, there's really not that much airspace in there, is there?
There's a little bit because my the length of my pieces is around 5.5 inches, and the inside dimension of the box is about 5 and 3/4, 7/8.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So there's a little space, but not much.
So when you were thinking of your product that you were going to sell, did you think of how much wood should I put in here and how much should I ask for it? Or did you think I want to make X dollars per order? So what would be a good size to sell that much for?
I kind of went that route. I looked at what size box I could easily ship, and then I looked at the other people out there selling boxes of mini firewood, what size their
Uh-huh.
boxes were, and I kind of based everything off of that because I didn't want to have because one of the things with shipping is sometimes it's not necessarily the weight of the box, it's also the size and the dimensions of it.
Yeah.
So they figure out how you can filling up the mail trucks, they want to have cubic dimensions that will stack and fill up spaces. So
Uh,
that's one of the things I looked at is the size of the box, and then from there determining how much wood would be in it.
So how are you selling it then? By the volume or by the weight?
I am just selling it by the size of the box. It's not, there's no, because the weight varies depending on the species of
Okay.
wood. And the volume, I mean, the volume of it is what it would be half a cubic foot, because the box is 6 inch, 6 by 12 by 12. So yeah,
Yeah.
half a cubic foot.
So do you have those dimensions written on your label?
I do not.
You do not.
No.
Okay. Interesting. When I started my aha moment in selling firewood, this I have a very dear friend of mine. He's older than me. He's retired now. Very successful business guy, multiple businesses. He's kind of like my business mentor.
Ooh.
Yeah. And I was sharing with him what I was doing. I'm pivoting the way I'm doing firewood. I'm not going to sell it the way everyone else does. And he was wanting to know, he was like, well, Joe, what's your cost? What's your COGS, cost of goods delivered, cost of goods sold? I says, I don't know. And he says, I said, I just know how much I spend. And I kind of know that I want to sell my wood for a lot more than what everyone else is doing. I said, so I don't really have any competition out here. So he was saying, like, if you were in a business that has a lot of competition, like a convenience store or a Burger King, restaurants, or just your traditional way of selling firewood, he says, you calculate your expenses, your cost of goods, your SG and A, sales, general and administration costs, and you set your price to be for a particular return, like 40%. Like these convenience stores that I deliver firewood to, they all work off this 40% markup. I was like, well, that's not how I did it. I thought of the number that I kind of wanted to get every time my truck went out. And then I calculated how much wood I want to deliver to get that much, or how much I feel a customer would pay for it. And he was like, oh, well, Joe, that's called, he said there's a term for it. It was like value driven pricing or something. I was like, yeah, well, that's how I did it. So, the bottom line was, when I thought outside the box on my pricing, next thing I know, I had a 300% markup on my
Woo.
products.
Yeah.
Yeah, on my products. So he was like, well, that's real interesting. He goes, And that's where he has an in-law who is a franchisor or a franchisee. So this guy, he has business. He started like these landscaping businesses, and then he franchised them. And then he has this other business. It's all like home service to like affluent areas. Like they put up Christmas lights and stuff. And he has like franchises all over the country now for this company that puts up
Oh,
Christmas lights and like roofing, and
yep.
installing lighting and patios, that waterfalls, all of this kind of stuff. And when I was talking to him, he was talking about like service calls and how much money, and that's where I came up with this dollar amount. It's like seems like $200 is a good price. People pay that without even thinking about it. And my first deliveries that were going out, I was getting $200 for a third of a cord, and I thought I was doing awesome. $600 a cord top line. But then, I got that down to a quarter cord. So I feel pretty good by the way I priced my stuff. And, just thinking outside the box and being different by the way I thought I invented this new way of setting my prices. But then the guy said there's already a term for that. I was like, oh well.
Oh, well, dang it.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yeah. But it sounds like what you did, though, because you have competition, you
Yes,
don't have the luxury of marking your wood up much higher than what other people are selling theirs for.
that's right.
Because yours really just comes down to the wood, because you're mailing it out. With mine, it's like the wood is important, but so's the service, the delivery service, the delivery model, the uniform, the truck that doesn't leak oil, showing up on time, taking credit cards, professional invoicing. All of these things add up to how much you can command for a price. So that's how, when I thought of it, I thought of this value driven pricing.
Yeah, and I'm the other way where I kind of had to pay attention because I could set a price that I would want to have, but if people can go online and they have five different options, they're probably going to look at the price first, and then the quantity, the amount,
Yeah.
and then the actual product itself, like the quality of it. So
Yeah.
my focus was on quality of the product, variations in the product, and then my price point. I kind of worked back, knowing that because I charge a flat shipping fee, no matter where it goes. And what I did is I kind of averaged out. If I ship to Indiana, it doesn't cost as much as if I ship to Minnesota. So I didn't want, because the one thing I didn't want to do, and I hate this myself, is when I see something priced at a certain point online, and I then go to the checkout and I realize, oh, I'm buying a $20 item and now shipping is going to be $20 more. Like that
Yeah.
turns me off.
Totally agree.
So I wanted to set something where I had a flat shipping rate that applied to everyone, but then I would average out, if I'm shipping to California, that's going to cost me a little bit more. So I got to probably pay a little bit more for the shipping. But then when I ship to Minnesota, I make up for it.
Yeah. My pricing is like that. I have the amount for the wood, and I service a 2-county area depending on which county you're in or what kind of mood I'm in. I'll charge you accordingly for the delivery. Yeah, but I wouldn't call myself a white glove service. My truck's too rusty to be that, probably, but I go above and beyond, and that's because they're not dealing with a typical dump and go firewood delivery service, and I go out of my way to make it good. Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah, but
counts,
that's
the service.
yeah. Well,
Yep.
that's what I think the missing part with firewood is a lot of times is that everyone just becomes obsessed and focused over the wood. And I'm not saying that's not important, but the service sure does mean a lot. And that's where a lot of people leave money on the table, if they're the ones out there complaining, you can't make money selling firewood, you know. All I know is I could not live with myself if I sold my firewood for $350 a cord. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing right now, as in sitting here in my new couch in my living room in my house
Ooh,
that I can make a payment on.
Now, if you could just get a decent sized lunch,
Oh gosh. Yeah. I need to open up my own restaurant. I'd probably drive that thing out of business.
you'd be getting plate size burgers.
Yeah.
Huge. A Whopper would mean a Whopper.
Yeah, it would. Gosh. I would imagine it's got to be hard to make money in a restaurant because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of expenses, a lot of staff, and then you could still get a plate of pancakes for $10. Just
Yeah.
seems like that's a lot of work. Yeah, it's got to be hard to make a living with a restaurant.
Yep.
Yeah. We had we have a restaurant in town. It's my favorite restaurant. I love this place. And they just were part of one of these celebrity chef makeover shows at Gordon Ramsay. You
Oh,
know
yeah.
the Yeah, so it has not been aired yet on TV, but he was in town here for a week and did a makeover on my favorite restaurant. It was closed for a week, so I didn't get a chance to get my pancakes there.
Uh oh.
Loved it. Yeah, I love that place.
Now you have to go back and see if it was worth it.
Yeah. But these restaurants, so they've all raised their prices. I know I raised my prices. That's why I wasn't complaining when everyone was complaining about prices. I was like, what's the big deal? I just raised, my expenses went up. I used to be able to buy a triaxle load of logs for $600 every day, all day. Didn't matter what species it was, $600. And man, did prices just get crazy. I mean, I was declining trucks for like $1,100.
Oh my
And they
gosh.
come with like
Whew.
6-ish cords on them. And I just turn them down. It's leveled off. It's anywhere between 7 and 850 now, it seems. But I just raised my prices and I just kept on going. So I don't know. It's like there's so many other things to worry about, but you need food and you need gas. So you just spend the money and you keep going.
But, Joe, what about the taxes?
we need our we need a jingle song for that, like what we have for hobbyists. We need a foghorn or that Price is Right when the contestant when the contestant loses on the Price is Right. We need that. We need that song, or Charlie Brown's Teacher.
We should. We'll have to look into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's interesting to hear, Dan, that how you set your prices. And that sounds different from convention, as is the way I did it. But if people complain about the way I do my business, I wear that as a badge of honor because I take pride in being different and not following the herd.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and I'm sorry to hear about your Whopper Jr. Next time,
Yeah.
just go with the Whopper. Go with the
Yeah.
original.
Yeah. So the Whopper is a fascinating sandwich. So it is a great sandwich. But when they really started having success with it was when they switched from just that regular waxy paper that they wrapped it with, and they went to that thicker butcher paper type wrapper, thicker. And it just changed the perception. It changed the value in the eyes of the consumer for that sandwich. And people started looking at it differently, all because of the wrapper. And those
Yeah.
are the little things that you do that can increase value. Who would have thunk, adding like a 1 cent extra expense on a piece of paper to wrap a burger in, you can command a higher price for it now.
Sometimes those are the little things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah. My kindling, if you put my kindling in a Walmart bag, you'd probably give it to the customer for free. But I bought these burlap bags. They're like sandbags. I think that's what they're called, sandbags. And I spray paint my name on the front of it. And a bag of kindling is $12, and people buy it
Yeah.
for the same
Yeah.
amount of wood that I'd give away for free. all because of a $1 expense.
That's the way to do it.
Well, but what about the taxes?
Yeah. Mom, mom.
Yeah. All right. Well, Dan, I was hoping we could drag this episode out longer because it is an oven outside.
No, we got to strike up the band. You got to get back out there and
It is
start
hotter
sweating.
it's hotter than a Burger King's flame broiling grill. Oh man. All right, Dan, did you strike up the band?
The band is struck.
All right, Dan, since the band has been strucken, let's make sure we thank everyone for tuning in and helping make the Woodhounds the #1 firewood podcast in the world.
Yes, and if you find us on your favorite streaming service and you enjoyed the episode, give us a 5-star review. We would greatly appreciate it. And we'll see you back here next Wednesday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and when you do tune in, maybe show up with a Whopper Jr. so that we can tell you to enjoy
Your Whopper Jr.
and bring your magnifying glass to
See your Whopper Jr.
and your LaCroix tomato and have
A great day.